For then there will be great tribulation, such as has not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be.
Thick with sand, laced with stones, lash around rescue workers. Another sandstorm in northwest China, this time in Tulufang City, trapping hundreds in their cars on the highways.
The wind was quite strong, and the flying stones broke the glass on the vehicles. We had nowhere to hide.
On the Tulufang Toksin Highway, rescuers barely held on themselves during gale force winds. Visibility reduced to less than 2 meters. They attached ropes between the trapped cars and the rescuing armored vehicle. The priority, getting the elderly, women and children in first. Sandstorms have become an increasingly regular feature of life in North China, the result of decades of desertification and the Gobi Desert creeping further south.
A powerful sandstorm quickly shifted from irritating to deadly as it wreaked havoc in Tehran. Winds riling up to 110 kilometers per hour were recorded as residents told of darkness descending upon the city.
Visibility reduced to near zero. When you hear that 5 people were killed and 30 people were injured in a big city like this, I mean, it's really amazing.
Such strong storms are unusual in Tehran, but the government's warned the bad weather may last until Wednesday.
Heavy rain has battered parts of southwest China, with devastating floods damaging roads and residential areas.
Pavlov volcano erupting in Alaska. Take a look. That is a huge cloud of ash and steam, all of it shooting up some 24,000 feet above sea level. You can see the cloud there up above the volcano.
The volcano has actually been erupting for years, but not this intensely.
Tonight, a second blast of severe storms marching across the Ohio and Tennessee valleys and western plains, packing baseball-sized windshield-busting hail.
Heat wave now, and there's no sign of that abating, and life is continuing to be difficult for North India, with the mercury breaking all barriers. Delhi yesterday touched a record high of 47.8 degrees Celsius. That was a 62-year-old high. Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, even parts of Uttar Pradesh are going to remain dry today.
Well, fire season is upon us as huge flames burn through thousands of acres near Bend tonight. Firefighters say the Two Bulls wildfire has charred at least 6,800 acres of mostly brush and timber.
The Two Bulls fire is still growing, nearly 7,000 acres. That's over 10 square miles. More than 700 firefighters have been called in to fight. It's exhausting work.
Firefighters have only contained 5% of this fire so far. Fortunately, no buildings have been damaged, nor has anyone been hurt by the flames.
The site of the opening ceremony and first World Cup match under turmoil, floods, strikes, and protests. The backdrop on the eve of the biggest sporting event in the world, in the country that treats soccer like religion.
This morning, more bad luck for Brazil. Flooding near Sao Paulo Tuesday claimed the lives of 9 people.
Now, tornado and Korea are 2 words you would never normally hear in the same sentence, but you will now because a tornado was spotted in Korea earlier this week. News of this twister, coupled with freak thunderstorms and torrential rain showers in recent days, has people asking if it's all down to climate change.
The effects of climate change are being seen across the globe through abnormal weather events, and Korea is no exception, as evidenced by the last few days. A tornado near Ilsan in Gyeonggi-do province this Tuesday was the first ever spotted on the mainland.
At least 5 people have been killed in violent storms that swept across northern Germany overnight. The deaths occurred in the cities of Dusseldorf, Essen and Cologne. Severe thunderstorms, strong winds and torrential rain in the country's most populous state, North Rhine-Westphalia, blocked roads and forced the suspension of public transport.
More dramatic than this. Not 1, but 2 tornadoes touched down in the northeast of Nebraska. only a mile apart.
Today, the National Weather Service said one tornado was an EF4 with winds as high as 200 miles an hour.
Local residents were evacuated after homes and buildings were stuck in the center of one twister. Half the town was heavily damaged and several farming communities nearby have also been destroyed.
They say the dual tornadoes are very unusual because both appear to have been roughly the same strength. In most cases, one tornado tends to be larger and more powerful than the other, but infrastructure and communities here didn't stand a chance.
Winds have struck central Italy, causing severe flooding in parts of Rome and surrounding areas. Roads were closed as torrents of water rushed along streets and down subways. With more rain forecast in the coming days, several regions, including Umbria, are on storm alert.
Texas, a foot of rain in 24 hours, all the way north of Minneapolis. More, Minnesota is expected to ask for federal help after record-setting rain that caused flooding and landslides around Minneapolis and St. Paul.
In Bulgaria, at least 16 people are reported to have been killed after torrential rains and floods hit the east of the country. In the port city of Varna, the scene of some of the worst destruction, a state of emergency has been declared.
An unsettling story on the south end of the Strand tonight, where at least 1 million dead fish were found in the Winyah Bay. DNR officials say their carcasses were spread 6 miles from the site of the fish kill.
South Carolina Department of Natural Resource Officer Dean Kane says that a fish kill normally happens in July or August, and it's rarely of this magnitude.
On this Tuesday, July 15th, ferocious storms have been hammering parts of the country with drenching rain, flash floods, and powerful winds. Hit hard the nation's capital with lightning streaking the sky, hitting the dome of the Library of Congress right behind the U.S. Capitol. Overseas, Russia has also been seeing extreme weather. Beachgoers in Siberia, can you believe it? Siberia had to scramble for cover during a surprise hailstorm. The storm blew up suddenly in 100-degree weather, catching bathers completely unprepared. 2 deaths are blamed on this storm system.
And a growing mystery overseas, scientists are being sent to Siberia to figure out what caused this massive hole to open. It's 260 feet wide. Authorities have ruled out a meteor for now. Melted ice or a natural gas explosion are the leading theories.
That hole is 260 feet wide, and nobody knows exactly how deep that thing is. Look at that, it just goes down and down and down and down, and it's a dark hole. It's still a mystery as to what caused it.
Even stranger, the area of Russia where the crater is said to have formed is ominously called the end of Earth.
Some incredible video this morning out of North Carolina where a meteor was seen flashing across the sky. A software developer captured this on his cell phone Thursday night while driving in Raleigh, and it was spotted across several states, including Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey. You see it right there off in the left-hand corner.
A state of emergency tonight in parts of Washington state where several wildfires continue burning out of control, including one that has prompted evacuations and already burned about 100 homes in its path.
This is a ghost town torn apart by the fiercest wildfire officials here have ever seen. Fire itself is only growing. Fueled by whipping winds, soaring temperatures, and bone-dry conditions, the so-called Carlton Complex fire started with lightning and overnight exploded from 28 square miles to nearly 300 square miles. 1,000 households were ordered to evacuate, including the entire town of Pateros. We know at least 100 homes burned. Major highways into the area are still shut down. Thousands are without power and water. And Brian, this is just one of dozens of fires burning in the West right now.
This is a firestorm beyond human imagination, and we need more assets.
You see this from the University of North Dakota, parking lots and roads full of water, to what is now the largest wildfire in Washington state's history. A dangerous dichotomy of record flames and record flooding across the nation. Durham, North Carolina, flooding in a flash. 3 inches of rain falling in just 3 hours. Abandoned cars drowning in the oppressive waters. In North Dakota, ferocious winds up to 80 miles per hour slicing across the state.
Beginning tonight with some rare and some strange activity around the Monterey Bay.
It's attracted the attention of marine biologists, the locals, and, well, even some lucky tourists.
First we saw like one, and then we saw a little farther on one, and then you go another 50 feet and it was a blanket of dead fish.
That blanket stretched for a quarter mile and was about 5 feet wide in some spots.
It looks like a factory has dumped all of its fish. Never seen anything like it.
At least 2 people and injured 36 on Virginia's eastern shore.
More than 1,300 people were at the Cherrystone family campground when the storm hit, many of them children. Witnesses say the sky turned black and started dumping hail the size of golf balls. There was a tornado warning for the area, but some say they found out only seconds in advance. One man said he didn't even have time to close the door to his camper.
All of this on the heels of strong storms Wednesday night in the Northeast. Skies opening up over Yankee Stadium.
It is dangerous conditions now at Yankee Stadium.
And the severe thunderstorms are on again tonight.
Residents in eastern China woke up early this week to find the river that runs through their city had turned blood red.
The other night, folks smelled something strange, and then the Wenzhou River turned red, blood red, and nobody knows why.
The riverbanks are covered with garbage. For now, inspectors are taking water samples for closer analysis.
There have been more than 80 reports of severe weather stretching from the center of the country to the Ohio Valley to Florida.
Overnight, dangerous weather across the country. Lightning cracking the sky over Pennsylvania. Buckets of rain delaying a Pittsburgh music festival. More than 26,000 people in Kentucky left with only bolts of lightning to illuminate their homes after the power went out. And in Phoenix, lightning and dust storms whipping up the desert.
Rare tornado touching down near Boston. You see the aftermath there in the suburb of Revere this morning.
That's heading this way, isn't it?
Slicing across Colorado, swirling with dirt. 3 reported tornadoes just outside Denver.
A tornado has been sighted at the airport. Take shelter immediately.
People inside Denver's airport running for cover. In Nevada, water became the enemy. Flash flooding dropping more than 2 inches per hour in spots, filling the streets with debris and black mud from a burn scar. Just outside Boston, Massachusetts, a powerful EF2 tornado, winds up to 120 miles per hour.
Oh my God, look at those trees.
This, the view outside Revere High School.
They all broke! Look at the trees! They all broke!
Flipping cars, littering streets with chunks of buildings.
It was just unbelievable, like in Massachusetts, this happening.
It is the first tornado ever confirmed in that county.
And now we take you to the startling lightning strike out west, right on the beach in Southern California.
It sounded like a sonic boom.
A rare lightning storm hit Venice Beach Sunday, killing 1 man and injuring more than a dozen others.
There was a big flash of light.
Beachgoers said this kind of weather never happens here.
I haven't ever seen in LA something that close. It literally knocked me off my chair.
At least 3 lightning strikes jolting Catalina Island, setting off a wildfire, knocking out power, and leaving 1 golfer injured.
New at 6, dead fish by the thousands, and as of right now, there is no cause. You can see some of the fish from this video.
Dead carp have been washing ashore for 2 weeks. The fish are washing up in the Horicon Marsh, Lake Sinisippi, and the Rock River.
They're sick. They're obviously infected with something.
If you're in an area where dead fish are accumulating, it might be best just to stay out of the water.
Jeremy Fletcher uses his phone to take pictures of the countryside, even in his lunch hour.
But it was while he was taking an evening stroll on the seashore at Snettisham in Norfolk that he noticed a godlike figure staring back at him from the clouds. Divine proof, maybe?
After the first two or three, I looked at what I had on my phone, and I couldn't believe the image that was on there. It was so clearly a face in the sky looking straight back at me.
Look at these.
My poor car.
Check these suckers out, Lauren.
Yeah.
Стой. Посередине едем. Ужас какой. Впереди машина.
Ой.
Ёб твою мать. Ой, господи. Ой, 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 ой. Ой, ой. Мамочки, господи.
Winds are fanning wildfires in 6 western states. Hundreds of families have been forced from their homes, and some have no home to go back to. Carter Evans reports Washington is among the hardest hit.
Smoke rose 25,000 feet over the largest fires burning in Washington state. The fire that's destroyed 100 homes in Potreros has scorched more than 168,000 acres. This fire on the eastern slopes of the Cascade Mountains produced a wall of flames that moved in on the town of Leavenworth. 900 homes have been evacuated, including Tim Germain's.
It really looked like, you know, the cauldron of hell. You know, you could see flames everywhere you looked.
In Bosnia, hundreds of people have been evacuated from the central village of Zelezna Polja for the second time in months due to severe flooding. At least 2 people are reportedly missing. This month's heavy rainfall has hit many of the same areas devastated in May by the worst Balkan floods in more than a century.
39 people are now dead in the Orissa floods. About 10 lakh people are affected across 23 districts. With rains continuing and the pace of relief and rehabilitation by the government failing to match up with the plight of the affected, it's now a massive crisis that's looming.
Typhoon Halong has hit southwest Japan with devastating effects, bringing heavy rain and winds of up to 180 kilometers an hour,
triggering landslides, floods, and even tornadoes,
leaving as many as 10 people dead and dozens more injured.
Authorities had ordered some 1.6 million people to evacuate from the path of the typhoon, as more than 470 buildings were destroyed in a prefecture north of Tokyo.
At least 9 people have been killed and 11 others are missing after heavy rains lashed southwest China. So far, 3,000 people have had to be evacuated for safety reasons. Meanwhile, there are warnings of more rain due for the quake-hit zone in Yunnan province, raising the risk of more flooding and landslides.
Here, 9 flood warnings and 48 flood alerts are now in place across parts of the UK. Large areas of the country being hit by severe weather today, as Britain felt the effects of the remains of Hurricane Bertha. Areas in the south being hit first, strong winds with flooding and, of course, spring tides as well. While in Nottingham, flash floods caused problems for motorists there as roads became difficult to navigate. And a woman was injured in Hull by what residents described as a mini tornado.
Record rain from Michigan all the way down to D.C. and Maryland. Officials say every major highway in southeastern Michigan has been affected. Drivers caught off guard had to be rescued from their submerged vehicles. Now Baltimore is in the bullseye tonight, a flash flood emergency there.
Historic doesn't even begin to describe the scope of the flooding in Detroit. Interstates 94, 75, and 696 under as much as 14 feet of water after a deluge of rain. More than 1,000 cars abandoned, many completely submerged.
In New York, a state of emergency. 13 inches of rain in just hours, setting a new record for the entire state.
Landslides in northern India and Nepal have left at least 180 people dead. Thousands more have been marooned in villages here in Uttar Pradesh state, where water from overflowing dams in neighbouring Nepal has added to the impact of heavy rain in the Himalayas.
The landslides and flooding were triggered by annual monsoon rains, causing rain-soaked earth and rocks to crash down on homes. Rivers swelled and washed away low-lying villages, leaving residents to have to use makeshift rafts to escape the water, with little time to collect belongings.
Concerns about those displaced by the flood is rising, as more rain is forecast in India's most populous state of Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand in the Himalayas.
We want to shift our focus now to the American Southwest, and there is a huge drama playing out tonight in and around Phoenix, Arizona. The problem is way too much water, a torrent of rain falling too quickly in that desert state. That has triggered flash floods and high water rescues from people trapped in their homes and cars.
5 inches of rain fell in some areas, almost as much rain in a few hours as parts of the state get in an entire year,
leaving families in this neighborhood little time to escape.
It was the day the Earth opened up. Last week, a giant crack appeared in Mexico, and scientists really aren't quite sure how it got there.
This crack stretches nearly 2/3 of a mile and measures close to 30 feet deep and more than 15 feet wide across in some spots. This is in the rural area 50 miles west of the city of Hermosillo in the state of Sonora. While some believe seismic activity is to blame,
following a 5.0 magnitude quake earlier this month,
others point to an underground stream that eroded the ground above it.
Record downpours leading up to Monday have cost lives and done damage to Korea's southeastern Gyeongsangnam-do province. At least 5 people were killed and more are missing.
In Changwon, Southeast Korea, a city bus is swept away in flash floods caused by heavy rain. Caught in the fast-moving currents, the bus tips onto its side, and in an instant, it disappears, submerged under the rushing water. At least 1 person was killed in this incident. This is just one of the unfortunate effects of the record rain that drenched southeastern Korea on Monday.
Let's roll the next piece of video because it's also pretty significant when you see here how many cars, dozens and dozens of vehicles stuck in the water. Dramatic rescues that were ongoing throughout the day, areas that could not even be crossed because of flooding and because of mudslides like the ones that you are seeing right there.
Within 3 hours, more than 240 millimeters of rain fell in Changwon, Busan, and other surrounding cities. Weather officials say showers are expected this week in central and eastern parts of Korea, with the monsoon season lingering until mid-September.
Iceland continues to prepare this morning for a possible volcano eruption. The volcano, buried deep under one of Europe's largest glaciers, is rumbling to life. Since August 16th, more than 3,000 tremors per minute have led to more than 2,600 earthquakes.
For the Sun, it's been a pretty busy week, cosmically speaking. Enhanced pictures from NASA's Solar Dynamic Observatory proving the point.
With more than 6 flares recorded from the left side of the Sun. Solar flares are powerful bursts of radiation. They're not harmful to humans, but they can disturb GPS and communication signals.
At the very least, you may get to see a wonderful display like the Aurora Borealis or Northern Lights. This is what happens when solar winds hit the Earth's upper atmosphere.
Hundreds and thousands of dead fish have taken over the shores of Mexico's Cajitalan Lagoon over the past week, sparking an investigation into local wastewater treatment plants thought to be responsible. Nearly 50 tons of Pok Cho chub freshwater fish have been removed from the lagoon in the past 2 days. With numbers expected to increase in the coming days, the leader of the fishermen's cooperative in the area said the mass fish death was caused by high levels of pollution at the bottom of the lagoon.
Eruption that began early on Sunday near Iceland's Bardarbunga volcano was still spouting lava on Monday. Now, this eruption briefly caused the country to raise its ash alert level for aviation to its highest level. It produced lava fountains which were more than 50 meters high. This was downgraded when there was no ash detected.
Severe storms rolled through parts of the state this morning, and the worst weather hit Wright County with damaging winds and large hail. As meteorologist Lauren Casey shows us, for farmers there, the storm is devastating.
Piles of hail up to feet deep is an incredible sight to a meteorologist, but is a sight that farmers in Waverly hope to never see, especially at harvest time.
Today, yeah, and in years, right around here, this is as bad as we've seen it.
There's a state of emergency on the big island of Hawaii because of an active volcano. Experts say lava from the Kilauea volcano has been advancing nearly 1,000 feet a day since July 10th, threatening a rural community less than a mile away. Mandatory evacuations have not been ordered yet. Kilauea has been continuously erupting since 1983.
Overnight flooding, high winds, and power outages devastating Chicago, Detroit, and surrounding areas as a powerful set of storms move through the Midwest.
At its peak, 600,000 people were without electricity in Illinois and Michigan, and it could be days before power is fully restored.
Flooding was the cause for concern in most areas.
Ominous clouds and lightning seen all across the region, but the most trouble came from hurricane-strength winds up to 80 miles an hour in places, bringing down power lines and sparking fires.
Back out west, tonight off the coast of Mexico, Hurricane Norbert has weakened to a tropical storm, but its moisture has already caused flash flooding in Southern California. Now from LA to Phoenix, they're bracing for what could be the storm's next powerful punch.
Survived a close pass by an asteroid this past weekend, and here's why we report on such things. A meteorite strike in Nicaragua, considered a small one but a big crater, it perhaps broke off from this weekend's asteroid.
Remains of Hurricane Norbert are causing deadly problems in the Southwest. The storm is dropping record amounts of rain in communities hit by drought for months.
Thousands of homes have been submerged, roads and power lines damaged, and thousands left without electricity and drinking water.
At least 457 have died so far, and more than 1.5 million people have been affected in both India and Pakistan.
People in northern Japan are coping with tremendous amounts of rain that have fallen since last night,
triggering Japanese authorities to order the evacuation of about 1 million people living near riverbanks.
Or with 125-mile-an-hour winds, Hurricane Odile pummeled Cabo San Lucas. Nearly a foot of rain in just hours. A Category 3 hurricane, winds peeled back roofs, swamped streets, and cut power across the popular tourist region.
Odile is the strongest hurricane on record to hit Baja California.
For it is a fireball. It's a meteor that emits a bright light. One skipped along the Earth's atmosphere, lighting up the sky from New Jersey to Ohio. More than 190 reports have poured into the American Meteor Society.
Northern California logging town called Weed rightfully brags about its natural beauty. But tonight, much of it is up in flames. Trees turned into kindling, feeding a wildfire that has driven hundreds of people from their homes. And that is just one of a dozen major wildfires in the state tonight. 6,000 firefighters are battling flames that have burned well over 183,000 acres.
Fueled by record temperatures and parched terrain.
Fire crews were still battling the fast-moving blaze that tore through the California town of Weed near the Oregon border. The wind-driven wildfire exploded Monday afternoon, burning cars, buildings, and destroying more than 110 homes.
Typhoon Phanphong moved through the Tokyo metropolitan area Monday morning local time with very heavy rainfall and some strong gusty winds. Now, the strong winds were mainly confined to the coast and areas around Tokyo Bay, including a 70-mile-per-hour wind gust at Tokyo's.
Even though they do have a lot of experience with these storms, this is a very mean storm that's going to last for a long time. There could be 12, maybe 15 hours of hurricane-force winds there in Okinawa. Now, we do have a new advisory from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, 130-mile-per-hour wind. It's now moving north at 9 miles per hour.
The high winds and rain hit like a pressure washer. North Texas took a lashing on Thursday afternoon. Some areas caught 90-mile-an-hour wind gusts. This time-lapse video shows transformers perched on electrical lines blowing out when the intense straight-line winds blew in.
Scemi, è 3 ore che l'abbiamo tolta noi. Guarda, 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 guarda che la beviamo di nuovo, 2 volte in 3 anni. No, no, di nuovo no, di nuovo no. Nonni, vámonos. Oddio, oddio, oddio. Va via, esci di lì. Manuel. Dov'è Manuel? No. Di nuovo no, no, è morto. Oddio, no! Loris, dove l'hai messa la moto? Tutti gli abbraccelli, sono tutti lì. Dio santo! No, 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 no! Oddio! Ne porta via tutto, adesso allaga di nuovo.
In this neighborhood say the taps have run dry in their homes.
It's been 10 days without water for us. We come here to get water to shower, wash dishes, wash clothes, and also to cook and drink.
The problems in the town of Itu originate here, a couple hours away, at the Cantarera Reservoir that feeds water to more than 10 million people. Its water levels are now at their lowest in recorded history. The state government says it's doing as much as it can, but experts have warned the reservoir could go totally dry as early as next month.
I'm standing under a bridge right now, and it really gives you a sense of how critical the situation is. Under normal circumstances, the water would come way above my head to where those water lines are at. But as you can tell, these are no normal times here. Experts say that even if it was to start to rain here tomorrow, it could take as long as 4 years for this reservoir to recover.
The most powerful storm to hit Bermuda in more than a decade. Hurricane Gonzalo ripped through the Caribbean island. With initial wind speeds of 205 kilometers per hour, Gonzalo was labeled as a Category 4 storm on Thursday. The storm has now passed over the archipelago, but officials say the island was hard hit.
We've had about 26 hours of high winds, and swells have been up to 35 feet, and we've also had, I think, 5 inches of rain, so it's been a heck of a night.
This is insane. Well, here we go. It didn't stand a chance. Oh, that.
Esto es una pasada. Se está aguantando, Las raíces, míralo, ahí va. Ahí va el coche. Ya, mira. Y para abajo va, mira, ahí va, castaña. Mira, y tiene suerte si se le queda ahí encajado.
Some astonishing images, the flash flood in the Canary Islands. Local media say 5 people died after 2.5 hours of heavy rain on the islands of Tenerife and La Gomera. Ravines turned into rivers and several streets, houses and garages were flooded. One woman reportedly died of a heart attack as she was washed away.
A hard-fought victory for Iraq in its battle against ISIS. Iraqi television reporting the key town of Baji has been retaken from the terror group. The city, some 150 miles north of Baghdad, home to the biggest oil refinery in the country. But ISIS is continuing to sell its battlefield prowess. In its latest video, ISIS shows a helicopter being shot down in Iraq and recounts the history of fighting in Kobani. Some battlefield video even shot with what appears to be helmet-mounted cameras. The 21-minute video includes graphic scenes we cannot show of ISIS killings. It's high-tech propaganda. The U.S. believes ISIS is trying to project an image of inevitable victory over the West. It comes as the first 50 U.S. troops moved into Al-Anbar province.
This is the sound of a ceasefire crumbling. Pro-Western Ukrainian forces locked in battle with Russia-backed separatists inside Ukraine. The fireworks weren't as loud as President Obama met Russian President Putin in Beijing, but their short encounters, totaling just 20 minutes in all, seem to signal the U.S. and Russia still sharply divided over Ukraine.
Overnight, more record-shattering lake-effect snow paralyzing parts of western New York. Buffalo now in a state of emergency as the governor deploys the National Guard for help.
This is a very serious storm.
Up to 6 feet of snow and climbing. First responders carrying patients to the hospital on foot. The snow's so deep in some places, snowmobiles can't operate.
It's probably heavier than anything that we have seen in over 40 years.
From the sky, a wall of white. On the ground,
that is the garage door.
The snow is piling so high, so fast, it comes crashing into this home.
It's horrendous. It really is. We're going to make history.
The snowfall up to 5 inches an hour, crippling emergency personnel. At a firehouse in the heart of the storm, a mother delivers her baby girl.
We could not get her to the hospital. She was born. She's safe and she's healthy.
Near Buffalo, an 81-year-old man died after first responders were unable to get him to the hospital in time. The man, one of 3 people dying from cardiac arrest Tuesday while